What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hardcore Fab Shop. So with all the fab work wrapping up on the No Regrets buggy back there, I've got this bag boy in my sights next to be able to get finished up and rolling down the street. So for those of you that don't know, this is Old Crow. We've done a bunch of videos on it already in the past here, but it's been a while, so I figured today's video I would do a quick recap of what all we have done in the past and all the videos on this thing. Kind of catch everybody up if you're not familiar, or just kind of remind everybody of what all we've done if it's been a while since you watched the videos. Then I figured we could show you real quick on some of the stuff that Connor has been doing on it, because he has been working on it here on the side when other things are happening in the shop and he doesn't have anything to do. He's able to do some stuff on that. So we do have some stuff done that you guys haven't seen yet. And then I figured I'd tell you guys what all we've got planned here in the future to get this thing all wrapped up. So yeah, for all the new people, this is Old Crow. It's the 1947 Ford pickup, and it is pretty close to 100% custom build. I think the only thing I haven't touched or modified is the doors and the roof. I think that's about it. Everything else I've done hacked and whacked on one way or another. So a lot of stuff going on with the truck. Do have a full build here on YouTube of the truck. I'll put you guys a link to that playlist up here above, and if you guys see anything in the recap that you want to know more about, then you can go there and you can find that on the playlist somewhere in there, because I've done a pretty in-depth, view of everything that we've done here. Unfortunately, going back and looking at all this stuff to make the recap, I realized that my camera has gotten a lot better, and I've gotten a lot better, I think, making videos as well. So keep that in mind if you go back and watch that, because some of this stuff has been on there for a while. We're a lot of videos away from where I started, so yeah. So I started this project off with just a small handful of parts. I had an old straight axle out of a Ford pickup that had a disc brake conversion kit on it. Also had a really cool old tailgate that I needed to use on something. And I also had a nice big set of Hoosier drag slicks on some really cool looking centerline wheels. So I loaded up the boss lady and we are heading out to Piper's Auto Salvage. It's one of my favorite local salvage yards. They've got a lot of vintage stuff out there, and I've seen some cool stuff out there from time to time. I'm hoping today we'll luck out and we'll find something really cool and I can get her to pay for it. So after spending the afternoon out there, we decided upon this old 47 Ford truck cab. It was just the cab, not the rest of the body, so that kind of sucked a little bit, but the price was right. We made a deal on the cab, some extra bed sides that they had laying around out there, and also a Ford 9-inch to get this project started. After getting the cab back to the shop, it was pretty easy to see why somebody had taken it off and sold it for scrap. The rust in the floor was pretty bad. Luckily for me, I was planning on cutting most of it out to be able to get the transmission tunnel through there anyways, so not a big deal. Next up, I drew up a chassis on a CAD program and got a layout of exactly how I wanted to build everything. Started the build off with some 2x4 square tubing that quickly turned into a couple of frame rails and then into a chassis. The first thing to get mounted was the cab, and then right after that I started working on some of the front suspension and a cross member to be able to hold the motor in. That ended up being a ton of work, but I think it looks badass in the end, and it functions quite well. So with that front cantilever air ride suspension done, it was time to work to the back so we could make this thing a roller. The back end also needed to be air ride as well, and I ended up building a 4-link setup that's a drag car style setup with the airbag bolted directly over the rear end. That was exciting because it allowed me to get the truck out of the shop for the first time as a roller and put the rockers down in the dirt. Now that it rolled, it was time to focus on the rest of the body, and I started on the bed, taking those 2 bed sides that we had before and going ahead and trimming those down, and built a cool box on the back of it to be able to cap it all off. I think it gave us a sexy look on the back of this truck and allowed us to also use that tailgate that we had to begin with. Moving on from there, I knocked out the firewall and the floor and trans tunnel in the cab. The last of the sheet metal work was a tilting front hood, and I also found a tall deck 427 this time to be able to slip in there, which is our motor that's in it now. Ended up building some custom zoomies for it, and that got us to the point where we're ready to tear this thing apart and start painting up the chassis and doing final assembly. my buddy Vern came over and cut all of the flat glass in the truck by hand and also installed the new glass in our new rubbers from Steel Rubber Products. So after all that, I figured it was time to try to get this thing running, and after stealing the carburetor off my wife's car and installing the new DUI distributor, it fired right up. Well, that sounded super easy and simple, right? If it was only the case. So, ton of work went into all that stuff. Like I said, if you see anything in there that you want to know more about, or if you see anything in this walk around you want to know more about, there is definitely videos on that if you go look. So now to catch you guys up on what we've been working on since you guys have seen it last. Start off right here at the back. You can see the back of it. We got some tail lights on this thing now. I'm not 100% sold on those. I like the shape. I like the style and everything of them. I love the blue dots in the center, of course, but that might be a little bit too much chrome for the back of this thing. I might have to dirty those up a little bit to make them look right. But more on that later when we get the thing out of the shop, driving around. We'll see what it looks like outside and kind of go from there. But yeah, Connor does have the taillights mounted now. He's got wiring ran down the frame rails and everything for the taillights, and they're hooked up back here. Still need to get everything all hooked up inside the cab. Got some other stuff going on here. Let me flip this around to just show you a little better. So the first thing you'll probably see is the train horns are off, and that is because we've been working on the air ride system. Now Connor has got a bracket made over here, and he's also got our new control valve log scenario over here set up in place. So he made that little bracket, he mounted that, and then he's got all the lines from all four corners kind of ran. He's got those all set in the frame, looking good. He's put new fittings here in our bags so that we got away from the original fittings that I had in there before that were just kind of like some stuff from Home Depot. So that part of it is all done. And for right now, until we get some more stuff done inside the cab, we've got some gauges just kind of hanging there. So that stops that up to where we'll be able to actually try to test this thing going up and down here pretty quick. We're pretty much at that point. Do have the air tank mounted now, and this one compressor. I'm trying to go decide if I want to go ahead and step up to a second compressor. It's a smaller tank, so I might be able to get away with it, but probably would be better if I had two. Also see on the bottom of the deck lid there, or tonneau cover, whatever you want to call it, he's got some dynamat stuck in there, and he also has dynamat all through the inside of the cab. This was all stuff that was left over from the hookers and blow build that Dynamat sent us, so we thought, hey, we might as well use it up in here. So got that all wrapped up pretty good. Also inside, we got the shifter kind of made up in here. I need to do a little bit more stuff to it. The butt of this thing is about to fall off. This was a wall hanger. The barrel was very rusty. Everything was never going to be shot again, so it's not a big loss there, and I think it makes a cool shifter, but still have a little bit of work left there to do on that. As for the rest of the inside of the truck, Connor went in here and he cleaned up everything really pretty good, and he actually took and polished, and this is kind of dirty right now, but he actually polished up some of this stuff. The dash and everything is kind of shiny, and the doors are kind of shiny and stuff as well, although they have the rust and the patina stuff still going on there. They're all cleaned up now to where they don't get you dirty when you're trying to get in and out or anything like that. I do think they need a little bit more something done to them though, and I don't want to paint them. I love the look of Hookers and Blow back there and how clean and nice everything is on the inside, but honestly, it's a pain because every time you're getting in and out, every time you drive it or do anything, you're worried about being in there and you're worried about jacking it up. And it's kind of the point of a rat rod is that you don't have to worry about it so much. I mean, you obviously don't want to mess it up because it takes 75 years to get that patina like that back there, or however many for this patina or whatever. So it's not like you can just respray it and everything. So I kind of have a little bit of an issue with people saying that you can't, you can do whatever to them and it doesn't matter, because it does. You can't fix it and recreate it. But at the same time, if you do get a little scratch or a little nick or something like that, first of all, most of this paint's good and dry, good and hard, so you're not going to do that nearly as easy as you do on new fresh paint. But yeah, if you do have something happen to it, you don't have to cry about it. So I want to keep that momentum going, you know, with the rest of the inside of the truck, but I wanted to spice it up a little bit. So these are some panels that he's already made to go there on the bottom sections of the doors. Like I said, right in through that area. And then over here, got some other panels that he's already bead rolled and kind of started forming around and everything. And I think I want to go ahead and do the same thing back here on the rest of the cab back here. So the panels I just showed you are going to go in right through here in this area. And then we're going to go ahead and do something here along the whole back side of the cab and everything. And then I think might go ahead and just do a headliner in the top part of it. It'll kind of soften it up a little bit and get away from the whole just metal everywhere inside the cab. I think while we're at it, we might as well go ahead and maybe do like a panel up in here in this top part of this door as well. That'll help to kind of tie everything all together, and it's kind of weird the way this panel looks anyways, honestly. So that, like I said, ties everything all together. The other panels on the inside, like the floorboard and the kick panels and stuff, that's all bead rolled inside there, I did go ahead and spray all that stuff black. My plan is to do all of this stuff black and then kind of rub it off like we did in Julie's Model A. So if you guys haven't seen that, put your picture or link to the video up here. You can go check that out and see what I'm talking about. But that's kind of my plan for the inside of here. Now, Connor also does have the brake master cylinder pedal assembly mounted and all that stuff in there as well, and the column back in. So we've got that pretty well wrapped up there. Did find a tag too for the thing. In Kansas, we get to use a vintage tag as long as it's the same year as the truck, and then you got to look it up and make sure that it doesn't have that number already assigned to another tag or something. So I've got a tag that should be legit there, so that's pretty awesome. And let's see. Oh, Connor fixed our mirror. It needs tightened up, but now instead of it being, you know, 4 feet tall and way up here above the cab, it's a little bit better height. Do need to get a different mirror for it because this one is crusty, and the mirror's broke inside there as well. So get that wrapped up. He also wrapped our headers, so I like that look a lot better than just the bare metal personally. Connor also has a drive shaft in, some fluids and everything all in the rear end, and all that kind of stuff buttoned up for us as well. You can see the marker light is off up there on the top. We are going to be making a video on how to reuse those, repurpose them to where they have the right look and feel for the truck. Don't have some new plastic garbage on there, but make them where they actually function. So if you're interested in that, we'll be having a video on that fairly soon, so keep an eye out for it. We've got some steering left to do here on the front. Just need a bar from the steering box up here to the front axle. So not a lot left on that to do yet, but still a little bit of stuff there. And we've got brakes to do on the front as well. We've got all the drums, or all the calipers and rotors and everything there, but we need brake lines, I guess, to go on here and actually get routed through the arms and up into the frame, up to the pedal assembly and the master cylinder and all that. So we've got that stuff to deal with, and mostly just after that some interior stuff. I mean, we don't have any seats yet for it, so we've got to get that figured out and then wire the thing. Anyways, that kind of catches you guys up on where we're at with Old Crow and what's been happening on it, and now you guys know what you can expect here in the near future of some videos coming out for it. And then once all that's accomplished, we get to throw some power to those big giant Hoosiers back there and see how long it takes before we blow up the axles in the 9-inch, because those are still just stock and I don't think they're going to hold. So anyways, I got to go back to work. Got to get this thing all finished up and welded by the end of this weekend so that it can go to the powder coater on Monday morning. And then we can reassemble that. So I guess that's all I got for you guys on today's video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.